It's late. You hear it through the window, a scream, then a voice begging for help. You freeze, you look out, and across the street in a dozen other windows, you see other faces doing the exact same thing you are, watching, waiting, doing nothing. You'd like to believe you'd be the one who moved, but there's a reason you might not be, and it has a name. In 1964, that name was born from one of the most famous murders in American history. The story went like this. A young woman named Kitty Genovese was attacked outside her apartment in Queens, New York, and for more than half an hour, 38 of her neighbors stood at their windows and watched her die. 38 people. Not one of them called the police. Not one of them came down. The New York Times ran it on the front page, and the country recoiled in horror. How could 38 people watch a woman be murdered and do nothing? Psychologists gave the horror a name, the bystander effect. And it became one of the darkest, most quoted ideas in all of human behavior. There's just one problem. Almost none of it was true. Let's start with the science, because the science is real. That part matters. Two psychologists, John Darley and Bibb Latané, were so disturbed by the Genovese story that they decided to test it, not with a murder, with a controlled experiment. They sat people alone in a room and had them talk to strangers over an intercom. Then, mid-conversation, one of those strangers appeared to have a seizure, choking, gasping, clearly in trouble. And here's what they found. When a person believed they were the only one who could hear it, they helped almost every time and fast. But when they believed 4 other people could hear the same emergency, help slowed to a crawl, and many never moved at all. Same emergency, same person. The only thing that changed was how many other people they thought were watching. That's the bystander effect, and it's one of the most reliably repeated findings in psychology. The reason has a name too. Diffusion of responsibility. When you're the only one, the weight is entirely on you. When there's a crowd, that weight gets split into 100 pieces until your share of it feels like nothing. Someone else will. Someone else must have already. So the effect is real, but the story that gave birth to it, the 38 witnesses, was mostly a newspaper's invention. And once you know what actually happened that night, the whole thing turns inside out. In 2004, a Times journalist named Jim Rasenberger went back and pulled the original story apart. Then, in 2007, 3 researchers, Manning, Levine, and Collins, published a takedown in the Field's Own Journal. And here is what they found. The number 38 came from a police commissioner, repeated to the city editor, printed without anyone ever checking it. It was never 38 people watching a murder from start to finish. Most of Kitty's neighbors heard a fragment in the dark, a shout, a cry, and had no way to know a woman was being killed. The few who looked out saw a blurry figure on a winter street and assumed a lover's quarrel, a drunk stumbling home. Only a small number ever understood what was really happening, and some of them acted. At least one man shouted down from his window, and the scream scared the attacker off, long enough that Kitty made it around the corner before he came back. Someone did call the police, and in the final minutes, a neighbor named Sophia Farrar didn't stand at a window at all. She ran down the stairs into a dark hallway toward a screaming she couldn't yet see, not knowing if the killer was still there. And she found Kitty and held her. Kitty Genovese did not die alone on the pavement while 38 people watched. She died in the arms of a neighbor who came running. That's the part the famous version erased, because a story about a woman held by someone who cared doesn't shock a nation. A story about 38 monsters does. Now, be careful here, because it's tempting to swing all the way the other way and decide the bystander effect is a myth too. It isn't. The lab results are real. In an ambiguous moment, a crowd really can freeze you. Don't walk away thinking human beings are secretly fine. That's not the lesson. The lesson is stranger, and it comes from the newest research of all. In 2019, a team led by Richard Philpott did something Darley and Latani never could. They got real footage, hundreds of actual public conflicts, real violence, caught on street cameras across 3 different countries. Not a lab, not an intercom. Real fights, real danger, real strangers standing nearby. And they counted how often someone stepped in. The answer, in 9 out of 10 of them, at least one bystander did something, stepped between, pulled someone away, called it out. And here's the twist that should stay with you. The more bystanders there were, the more likely it became that someone helped. In the real world, where danger is obvious and physical, a bigger crowd didn't mean more paralysis. It meant better odds that one person would move. So which is it? Do crowds freeze us or save us? Both. And the thing that decides it is smaller than you'd ever guess. It's not the size of the crowd, it's whether one person breaks the spell, because the freeze isn't apathy. It's a room full of people, each waiting for a signal that it's okay to act. Everyone looks calm, so everyone assumes everyone else is calm, so no one moves. It's 100 people trapped in the same silence, and the instant one person steps forward, the silence shatters, the responsibility snaps back into focus, and the others don't hang back. They follow. Help, it turns out, is contagious. It just needs someone to go first. Which brings it back to you at that window. The bystander effect was never really about 38 monsters. That was a story we told so we could believe the coldness lived in other people, in some other kind of person, never in us. The truth is quieter and harder. The freeze is in all of us. It doesn't feel like cruelty from the inside. It feels like reason. Someone else will handle it. Someone probably already has. That thought is the trap, and it is the most natural thought in the world. But now you know the shape of it. You know that the calm on every other face is not proof that everything is fine. It might just be 100 people waiting for a first one. You know that the moment one person moves, everyone else remembers how. And you know that the whole thing, every single time, comes down to a single question in a single second. Will it be me? That's the only number that ever mattered. Not 38, 1. If this changed how you'll stand at that window, share it with someone. And if you want more of the truth underneath the stories we tell about ourselves, subscribe.